Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made management systems so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Ross Seligman. He's a principal broker at the Living Room Realty in Portland, Oregon, and he has his own team that's called Own It Portland, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Great. And so not only is he an accomplished realtor, but also he loves systems. And he's going to share with us today how he uses systems in order to grow his business and get him motivated to do more. So, Ross, great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well, I grew up in New Jersey. I'm from the East Coast. I moved to Portland about 20 years ago, thinking I would stay for a year, and now it's probably the rest of my life because it's an amazing, beautiful place. I was a full-time musician until about 20 years ago. And
playing the guitar, right?
Yeah, playing the guitar. Yeah, I actually was in a Broadway show for a while about Janis Joplin. It was called The Night with Janis Joplin. Did that for a bit. But I have been doing real estate for the past 16 years. And it's really my other passion. I love real estate. I love music. I love doing both. And I don't want to choose between one or the other.
Well, all right. So I would assume that you still play.
I still play. I have 2 little kids under 5. I'm playing a lot less than I want to be. But I know that I will again. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about systems and real estate.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Tell us.
Okay. Well, here's I want to tell you why I even wanted a system in real estate. I got into this 16 years ago, thinking that real estate really had a path, that you'd get into it. I understood that you went to real estate school and then you had some kind of training. And what I found was it was like 98% useless. Like any realtor will tell you, you go through real estate school, you get you take the test and you're completely unequipped for anything in real estate. It is, you really learn by doing, right? And that's very problematic because it takes you a long time to have a lot of experience to really, really know what you're doing, right? You're dealing with people's biggest asset. And it's not just their biggest asset financially, usually. It's also, they have the biggest emotional tie to their home. It's where they live. They might raise a family there. They might, whatever. You've got both of these things that are absolutely crucial to people's lives, and you are guiding them through it. So I felt like a lot of us do, where you're just sort of kicked out of the nest and it's like, go figure out how to do this, go figure out how to fly. And I spent years and years and years trying to figure it out, interviewing agents that I admired, taking every coaching thing I can possibly take. What I found is that I really had to piece together my own plan, because everybody was doing things completely differently than each other. Nobody really had much of a path. Everybody seemed to be kind of winging it to some degree. I did notice similarities between the most successful people that I not only were successful, but had great lives. Okay. And that is equally as important. I tend to be, I could be a workaholic. I don't know about like clinically, but I definitely can sort of go in that direction. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are that way. A lot of realtors are, it's a very entrepreneurial thing to do. I think that a lot of us don't know when to stop.
It's also about being passionate about it, right? I mean, it seems just by talking to you, you're passionate about the music, you're passionate about your kids, you're passionate about real estate. And as you said, it's also a passion to help people, because what is really real estate is about finding their home. The most important thing in our lives is to have a great home. I mean, it's not the most important thing, but it is the place that allows you to do the other important things. So
yes. And so that's the thing is like, there's two things in real estate that I feel like I needed to conquer, and I needed a system to do it. Okay. The two things were, how do I scale and grow? How do I, on that topic, it's like, I want to be incredibly successful. I want to achieve all of my dreams. And I also want to help as many people as possible. I get so much joy out of that. And those things are so intertwined. How do I reach more people, help more people, grow my business? Okay. The other part of it is that real estate is a beast. Okay. And it will eat your life unless you figure out how to tame it. Okay. It will either be the most wonderful thing in your life to do it for a living, or it will devour everything. And so what I realized is that most realtors were only able to achieve one of these things. They were either being incredibly successful at the expense of virtually everything else in their life, or they were just sort of hanging on business-wise, but made sure that they had lots of time for their kids or lots of time for other things. I'm looking at this for years, failing, trial and error, going, how do I have both? How do I have time and play music? And now it's like, be a great dad. How do I also keep growing? Like, why do those things have to be mutually exclusive? And
let's have the cake and eat it at the same time.
And that's sort of the bill of goods we're sold as realtors. And any realtors listening to this know what I'm talking about. It's like when you're first getting into it, it's like that's sort of the message you're given is like, oh, you can have it all. Like, just work really hard and you can have it all. And then what you find is when you get in it, it's way more complicated than that. It's not, you know what I mean?
Totally. And it's actually true for other businesses as well, because we work with realtors in terms of systematizing their business, but we work with a variety of other businesses. And it's that trap that entrepreneurs go into, or business owners, in terms of like, yeah, I'm going to be a business owner. So now I am going to have all the freedom, because that's really what they want, that freedom. But it doesn't always materialize if you don't have systems. It's like a good friend of mine said one time, she said, yeah, as an entrepreneur, you can choose whichever 12 hours do you want to work, right?
Right. It's like, I'm going to work 1,000 hours to avoid working 40 hours for someone else.
That's right.
Yeah. And so what I set out to do was to take from all the coaching I'd ever taken, from all the interviews of all the successful people who I admired. And again, for me, it was a very holistic thing. It wasn't just about money. This was about like the whole thing, because when I first started having any success in real estate, my bank account was improving and my life was getting worse. It was a correlation, and I was like, okay, this is not going to work. This is not going to be sustainable. I want both. I feel like I see other people who, at least on the surface, are achieving that. I want to achieve that, but I also want it to be super authentic. I want to,
Sure.
And so I took.
So what did you do? What was the conclusion? I love the idea of really looking and interviewing and finding out like who is successful and what is working for them. So what did you find out?
Well, what I found out was that what I'll tell you what the appearance was. Right now, we're all completely roped in by the appearance of how things look on Instagram, and they are not reality, right? So this was long before Instagram, but I was noticing, like, the people I admired, it seemed like their phone would just magically ring, right? It would just magically ring with people saying, "Oh, I want you to sell my house. I want you to help me buy a house." And of course, this was not magical. These people were usually, they didn't have a system. So usually these people were just really good at keeping themselves front of mind with their sphere of influence. That was usually what it was, right? I didn't realize that. I just thought, I started to feel like some people are just lucky, no, they are keeping in touch. Now, some people have that just incredible ability. What I created, my system is called Sphere, right? And it's called Sphere very specifically because I do not want people to think of this as another CRM. It is not, right? This is what enables me to have actual time in my life and scale at the same time. And part of what it's doing is it's taking all the prep every day out of me figuring out how do I stay front of mind from people, in people's mind, right? So what I found is I needed to be front of mind, and I needed it to be systematized. I needed it to tell me who I need to talk to, what I need to talk about, and not have to figure that out. So to be specific, if I had to spend an hour every morning, looking at my entire database of all the people, all my customers and all my people and all my, people in my life, and deciding who to talk to. And, oh my God, when did I talk to them last time? And like, what am I going to talk about? Like, it's just not going to happen consistently. Like if I do it for 1 or 2 days, that'll be great. And it will have burned a stupid amount of time. If I, every morning, if I can turn something on and it goes, here's what you do, this, and this, and there's a lot more to Sphere than just this situation, but this has been what has enabled me. I've grown my business 400% in the last 4 years. And I went from working like 70 hours a week to 40. So
that's incredible. So it's basically what I'm hearing is you found out what works, like you basically investigated and looked at what successful realtors do, right? So not just the appearance. I mean, you looked at the appearance, but then you go, okay, what is the common denominator? You go,
right.
They have a follow-up process, but you discover that, it is a process, but it's not, but they don't have the process really documented, right? Because we all have processes. Right. And you can hear it on the different podcasts that I've done. People say it over and over. And I say to our clients and to people, I say it all the time. People that know me know that you have a process. When you wake up in the morning, you have a process of making coffee. You have a process of talking to someone. It's just because it's not documented, it's not systematized, you don't repeat it every single time. So you're spending the energy in recreating it. So then you took that,
what a waste of energy,
ability and recreated it into a system, right?
Yes, exactly. So, and there's this massive mental load lifted off of me because of it. Because I have a system that says, here's what you do, right? Just do it. Just like no excuses, just shut up, just do it, right? Like I really can't come up with excuses because it's like, here it is, do it, it takes the mental load off of me to figure out what to do. And it's such a wild thing, but this is a really big problem for realtors. Like they wake up, they don't have a boss. Like, what do I do? Okay, there's so much, and also it's very easy to just deal with things that are transactional. You've got all these arrows coming at you from things that you're transactional with, but that's the present moment. I look at how do I stay front of mind to my entire database of people I'm not transactional with, because that's 6 months to a year. And I'm a business owner. I can't just deal with what's happening right now. I have to be building the foundation for tomorrow, or else it just stops.
Very true. It's the prediction into the future that really differentiates you from being a true business owner and an entrepreneur and just working in the business where you have basically your blinders on and this is what you're doing, just whatever it is in the moment. So it's very smart. So if we have realtors that are listening to us right now and they want to check out Sphere, where should they go?
They can go to usesphere.com, USESPHERE.com. And they'll see.
And how would you use that? Like, let's say I'm a realtor and I need to use it on a daily basis. So how would I use it? What are the main functions?
So the main functions, there's 3 main functions to me. Like if I'm going to give you an overview, it's like, here's the 3 main things. Okay. And I swear these are all things that we all struggle with. I struggled for a decade with this stuff. Okay. The first one is a business plan. Most of us do not have a business plan. Our business plan is, I need to get as many sales as possible. That is the worst business plan. You need to have a goal. If you have a goal, even if it's the wrong goal, it's better than not having a goal. Okay. And the thing about Sphere is once you create the business plan in Sphere, it's in front of your face every morning. And there's been there's been something to having that in my face every morning. I swear that I don't know if it's just like micro decisions or what it is, but I have had so much more success just by having to see it every morning. I once heard a coach say that once they make their business plan, they will tape it to the mirror in the bathroom mirror. This is real. Okay. Okay. So about the business plan, that's very overwhelming usually for most of us. How do I make a business plan? It sounds like a really big deal. I've done it as a calculator, right? You just answer simple questions. You got a business plan. It tells you what you have to physically do every day, how many people you need to call a day based on your average price and your this and that, and how much you want to make net after taxes and after everything. I want people to spend 10 minutes and no more on this. Okay. You blast through it in 10 minutes. You have a goal. If you want to edit it, you can always edit it later, but just 10 minutes and it will change your whole year. Part number 2 is then implementing the plan, because once you do the plan, it sort of filters through the whole program and it will say, okay, as far as contacting your Sphere, here's what you need to do. Like here's who you need to call. Here's what you need to talk about based on things that have happened, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, Part number 3 is something that I'd never seen anything address, because everything is usually created by Silicon Valley, not by realtors. And only someone doing this every day really understands what it's like and what we do. The first time someone has real success in real estate and they have, 7 transactions pending at the same time, they are super excited, and they also want to crawl under a table and cry, because it is really hard. There's so many deadlines and there's so many incoming phone calls, and it's just like, oh my God. So the third part is actual transaction management. And as boring as that phrase sounds, what it really means is it systemizes all of your deadlines and automatically puts them on your calendar and gives you alerts when they're about to expire, and visually shows you the flow of the whole thing. It even creates an automatic client-facing link where they can see the whole plan and they can see what's happening next. And it also, that helps make them feel like they know what's going on. And it eliminates a lot of the incoming phone calls to me that used to eat up my time and sanity, just wondering about basic things, which I'd already told them. They have like a portal, they can just click a link on their phone and see it, right? So those are the 3 main parts. There's a lot more to it. I'm always happy to do a one-on-one with any realtor who's interested in checking it out. You can always contact me and do that.
And how would we contact you?
You can email me at ross@ownitportland.com. That's ROSS at ownitportland.com. You can contact me. Go to usesphere.com. You can contact me through that too. I love doing this. I love helping people build businesses and with real estate. On that note, I want to say that I'm really into sharing. And what I mean is, I don't think anyone is choosing me as their realtor in Portland because of my awesome checklist. Okay. Nobody's doing that. I have earned their trust, or, struck up a relationship with them. Right. That's why they're using me. So I have given everyone everything in Sphere. Anyone who signs up for Sphere, they have my buyer checklist. They have my seller checklist. They have like, I just give it to everybody. You can always go in the settings and you can change it and make it for yourself. But my point is, I want this thing to be plug and play. I'm really into taking all the prep out. So I'm just giving everyone like, here's how I run my business. Here you go. Use it if you want, change it if you don't want, whatever, and I'm happy to do one-on-one and share it with you.
Ross, this is amazing. I mean, your passion to help people and wanting people to be successful is amazing. It totally comes across, and it's great. And definitely go to usesphere.com and check it out, because it has all the ingredients. It has the ingredient of the overall picture, so the business plan. It has the ingredient of how to execute a business plan. And it is, as you said, you're using you use numbers. If you want to reach this goal, this is what you need to do. So if you do that enough, you're going to reach the goals. But not only that, it also allows you to manage, you have a system to manage your transactions and your clients. Because what I observe is that when people become, you mentioned it, people become successful, they reach out, they get riches come in, and then they freak out. They go like, oh, how am I going to service all of them? Stop. I'm not going to communicate anymore, right? I'm not going to promote, which is the wrong thing to do. Right. Because now after you promote and you have your sphere of influence and you talk to people and you get referrals, you want to feel confident that you can deliver. And if you have an automated system like that, it can save you hours, and it can save you, your mental space will be clearer, because then you can continue to promote. Because, Ross, what can happen is you know how it is, you promote, you get the leads, you service them, but then you forget to continue to promote, or you causatively don't promote because you say, I have enough, I won't be able to service it. And then after you're done selling or doing the transactions you're doing, then you are kind of like empty. Where are the leads, right? So then we start promoting again. But then you're wasting a month or 2 months, and you basically, the inertia stops. So now you have to build it up again. It's tiring, etc. So it's kind of like a circle you go through. But by having a system like Sphere, you can actually continue to promote on a regular basis and be able to service the leads without increasing overhead, that's what systems are all about.
Yeah, it's very feast or famine for most of us. In real estate, there will always be waves. One of my main goals was to make those much smaller waves. I didn't want like a tsunami wave and then like totally calm sea and then tsunami. It's just like, that's exhausting too for realtors. So I've seen a much more steady growth. Obviously my business has grown by 4 times, but it also, I'm busy at all times a year now. And for 10 years I wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, just I don't care how long you've been doing this. If it's 6 months or 10 years, it's like when the person decides to get systemized and do that well and consistently, everything changes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is a great message. And in closing, I definitely want to give a shout out to Tracy Hicks from All Things Real Estate that introduced us, because this has been great to have you on this podcast, sharing with everyone how important systems are, and also sharing your passion to help entrepreneurs and to help realtors to live a better life and have it both, have success, but not have to be overworked and overworking yourself and not being able to enjoy the fruits of working so hard. So that's been great. Thank you for sharing the information. And again, I would encourage our listeners to go to usesphere.com to check it out.
Thank you,
Ross,
so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.